So I'm sure you all have a lot of questions and have been wondering what the hell has been going on with me over the past 2 years. So let's try and use this video to answer as many of those as possible.
Your turn, Yugi boy.
I think it's pretty obvious to everyone who's followed me. Firstly, thank you to everyone who's actually stayed subscribed. That's actually one of the nicest things I think I've seen in a long time, because it just shows that obviously like people who follow me, the fans, are actually really loyal and really like the best out there. So, and I know everyone obviously says that because everyone wants to pander to their subscriber base, but you know, it just actually does mean quite a lot to see that those numbers haven't really dropped, honestly, and the subscriber amount has never been like a driving factor for me in YouTube. It's never been something where I've been like, I must get the highest number, I must compete with this, blah, 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 blah. It was just always about doing something that I enjoyed, and when people got enjoyment out of it, out of what I was doing, then that was great. The main reason why I started YouTube back in God knows how long it was now, was because an old friend of mine who used to live with, well, I used to live around in Bristol, who's Pewsley was his name. He had a YouTube channel and I really liked what he did, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the same. This looks like fun. I was always into post-production. I always liked doing video editing and just like using a camera, so I thought, hey, why not combine two things that I like together? And it kind of just went from there. And the game in itself had dips during that time. Obviously, there were formats I didn't like, there were formats I absolutely loved, there was decks I hated and decks I loved, but there was always a constant thing of, well, if I didn't enjoy the meta, I could just go off and do my own thing. And people enjoyed that as well. They liked like the change from the meta, you know, with all the deck profiles I used to do. People really enjoyed the fact, or from what I saw anyway, people enjoyed the fact that there was a lot of variety to the channel and it wasn't just competitive, it wasn't just the normal boring stuff, because honestly, I was never really that great at the competitive side of the game. I know that very well. I'm not being blind or stupid, like I'm not thinking that I'm better than everyone else. There are way, way better players out there, but that's not what I played the game for. It was for fun. And hence all the ridiculous decks that would just never tier like anything higher than like 2 normally. So that's kind of where I positioned myself and where I liked to play the game, and the reason why I did it. Now, the problem, as we all know, was links. That was the final tipping curve for me. The reason why I didn't like links was because it fundamentally changed how I had to play the game, but also it fundamentally changed a massive part of the content that I created. One of the biggest parts of content I created was deck profiles. Alongside like card discussions in general, it was deck profiles. The mechanic was announced like 6 months before I think it went live or something around that, and I distinctly remember having about 4 deck profiles that I had ready to go. I was ready to film them, and then this link mechanic dropped and it literally ruined the entire deck. I couldn't play them after the link format, and my opinion was at that time, well, what's the point in me investing money into decks for the next 6 months where it's ultimately just going to be obsolete? I wasn't going to any tournaments, I wasn't going to anything like that, I wasn't going to be bringing these decks anywhere because they were just literally casual fun decks. So I thought, well, what's the point in making them? Being forced into a constraint that I had to not play my favourite decks anymore was a big problem for me. And it kind of ruined the biggest thing that I enjoyed about the game, the creativity side of it. I loved being able to be creative, even if it didn't, a lot of the time, didn't turn out to how I wanted it. It was not consistent, but a deck was fun to play. It had cool mechanics and gimmicks. It was good, it was fun to do. But since links just kind of ruined that, they forced you into having one kind of special summon zone from the extra deck, and if you didn't have a link, then it just meant that you kind of were a bit dead in the water, to be honest. I distinctly remember as well the not the Black Soldier, the Buster Blader deck. I was really into that one. I really liked the concept of using the extra deck monsters. I really liked the concept of the lockdown, being able to control your opponent. And ultimately that died instantly as well. Obviously now the new rules are out and it's kind of back to normal, honestly. But it just like squashed my entire like creative sides for me. And when you remove that aspect from something, when you put like a game on rails, I can't get on board with that. It really just, I hate being able to be constrained by something. I don't like it. If you said to me, right, from now on you're only allowed to play meta decks and that's it, well, I probably wouldn't play, because it's very rare. Well, it's not rare, but there are obviously times where people don't like meta decks for whatever reason. Don't like the mechanics, they don't like it's popular, they don't like the cards themselves, anything like that. There's good reasons why. And a perfect example is what I used to do. As I said, if I didn't like the meta, I would then fall back onto other decks that I used to play. Some of my favourite decks, like Junk Synchrons, Yang Zings, all these that really relied on the extra deck zone, especially something from the extra deck, were just utterly useless. Now I know since then that links and generic links were released for decks, and also specific links were released for those decks that I like, the Yang Zings, so on and so forth. But by that point it was years after and it was too late. You know, it was being unknown as to what was coming out and having to hope for something to come out for a deck, or having to hope for a generic link to come out just to be able to, you know, play the deck was a problem. And the problem in that was, if you released, perfect example, you released a generic link, that link doesn't actually give any advantage to the deck. All that does is make the deck do what it wants to do, but already at a disadvantage, because you've had to invest 1, 2 or 3 monsters into just that one monster so that you can achieve the deck's goal. By that point, other decks that are based around links, which the format obviously and the rule was specifically designed for and favoured, those decks were already miles ahead because they had the advantage of those links in that archetype, and you would generate advantage from it. So already I'm trying to create decks that I like, be creative with it, that don't have the support for the mechanic you're being forced into, and looking over to the left of me saying, well, these decks are just running rampant because they have a link. And that's the first time anything like that has ever happened in the history of the game that I've experienced. I've been playing this game basically from day one, ignored the past 2 years. And nothing has ever squashed my love for it like links did. And I know that a lot of people would just say, well, just get over it, you know, it's not that bad. You need to look at what my specific channel and what my love came from. It was the creative side of it. And there was just no way to be creative with something looming over you that you said, oh, well, you like that deck? Yeah, well, if you need to special summon more than 2 monsters from the extra deck, sorry, you can't do that. So that was one of the biggest, or that was actually essentially the main thing. There were other things in like personal life that were going on. My job has been incredibly busy the past years as well. I've gone from, you know, being, if people don't know, I work at a visual effects company for films and TV show, and especially now it's busy. It's like a weird time more than ever. But I've gone from, you know, being just like an IT technician and sysadmin. I'm now like the head of technology for London. So it makes it really, really difficult to find time. The irony is, though, I've been made that position. Technically, I should have less time, but I'm still recording a video. Honestly, it might just be the shift of the game. A couple of products that have come out, obviously, Toons have kind of that product, even though we know my opinion on it. Just the idea of being like something dangling in front of me, being like, hey, you can actually like play decks now, because don't forget, Master Rule 4 isn't a thing anymore. Links aren't, they're a thing, but you don't have to be forced to play them, and you can play all your other decks how you want them to. So that's really interesting for me, and something that slowly but surely there's a little glimmer of hope still growing inside of me that, you know, I might start to look at things again. I've actually dusted off underneath my bed. There's 2 boxes full of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I've got out the Toon deck today just to have a look and see what cards I still have. You know, there's some things like that that give me a little bit of hope. And I'm not saying that I'm back. I can't say that until I've released a lot of videos, even though this is the 3rd video within a week, and that's more than I've done in like 2 years, which is pretty mental. The scene has changed a lot. I've still kept an eye on like the social media side of things, how everyone's doing. You know, obviously everyone's on like ridiculous subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing. I'm really happy for everyone. You know, like Lithium, Farfar, you know, Simo is just like on fire. And it's just really nice to see that people who have kept at it and done all that hard work are actually flourishing, and that's one of the nicest things for me. Like, as I said, I've never really cared about subscriber count, but seeing how popular they are and how well they're doing, it's amazing. This has never been like a full-time job for me as it is for them, and I will never be able to invest full-time hours into the channel ever again, honestly, because my job takes the precedent, takes all the time away from me, and it's just obviously my focus. That is my career, and Yu-Gi-Oh will never be a career for me, even though some people might want it to be. Unfortunately, it is not. Does that mean that there's no more, there isn't a place for Yu-Gi-Oh in my daily life? I don't know. It's a weird one currently because there's a lot of different moving parts to my life currently. I'm just playing things by ear. Obviously, some people are excited that I've put up some videos, and I really do appreciate everyone who is excited and who has watched those videos and liked them. It is an amazing thing for you guys to do, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys, because without that, I'd just be someone uploading something to an empty channel. I've always said that I wanted to do streaming more, and I'm not saying that streaming on Twitch would kind of go over YouTube and take away from it, but I think it's probably more of a reasonable, realistic thing that I would stream more than I would do uploads. Kind of an idea that I've had, and I've been playing with over the past few days, is maybe going back to uploading 1 or 2 videos a week. Whatever those videos are, they would not be forced. That's just like kind of a placeholder, the 1 to 2. It might be less, it might be more. It would vary because it would depend on what subjects are out there or what content there is to create. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to do what I did last time when I was most active, which was 5 videos a week. That was a lot of work, and believe me, that's a lot of work, and it actually put a lot of stress on me to have this fake 5 videos a week thing that I forced myself to do that no one asked me to do. I just set myself, and it was a lot of work and very draining, and that probably honestly might have contributed to the burnout, and then the burnout led to the feeling of not really wanting to do anything because I wasn't enjoying the game, and then the Master Rule 4 came and just kind of obliterated everything. The game does seem to be quite different currently. Obviously there's no real tournaments, physical tournaments going on because of the the thing that's going on in the world. Very strange to see that Konami haven't done their own platform. I would make a video about that, but I don't really think there's much to talk about apart from what are you guys doing? Like, why are you not investing in something? There's such potential massive gains from doing it, and you're literally the only card game company that isn't running their own simulator, so very strange. But the idea of doing like a couple of videos maybe, and mainly focusing on streaming, might be a thing. I like doing lots of different things when streaming. I've done a few bits and pieces. The past few weeks I was really busy, so I stopped doing it. But like, it'd be really nice to be affiliated with Twitch. I just need to keep up streams and keep doing them. To do Yu-Gi-Oh content, to do some like deck building stuff, to look at different decks, to just look back at what everything's doing, to talk to you guys. But also, like, as we all know, I'm a big Pokemon fan, and do some maybe like some Sword and Shield streaming. Like, one of the things if you don't like Pokemon, is zone out for like a minute or 2. But I really love shiny hunting. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do on the game. So I really would love to do more of that. I'm one to look at getting a 3DS capture card console, because, well, I say capture card console that's been modded to have the capture card in it, because I really like the original, the 3DS games, the DS games, so it'd be nice to play them as well on stream, but I don't like doing ROMs because it just annoys me. If I'm shiny hunting, I want to keep what it is, so that's why I want it on the physical cartridge. I will say that, I'm not making any promises, but I will say it's probably the most positive I've felt about content creation and Yu-Gi-Oh in at least 3 years probably, and that is including still when I was making stuff. It's just nice to be able to look at a game that I've had such love for and be like, you know what, it would actually be really cool to play around with some tunes. It'd be really cool to look at the Counter Fairy deck lists again. And just in general, it'd be nice to revisit some of my old decks to see if they actually work. It'd be really nice as well to look back at the Buster Blader deck and be like, hey, I can actually make this now because the constraints are gone and they have a Link Monster. So it'd be really interesting to see how all that works. And obviously, Skull Servants, like what's going on with them? I've got 3 Burial, I've got 3 Allure. So there's a lot of interesting things coming out, or they're already out, sorry, that I can look into, but it's finding the time. So that's essentially the problem that I have now. So we'll see, but that's basically where I've been. The future is still up in the air, but I'm more positive about it than I have been. Obviously there's the joke of, here's my yearly video, see you guys later. And I don't want it to be like that. The reason why I never made a video saying, hey, I'm quitting, is because I didn't really want to do that. I always left the option open to me because I wasn't going to be that type of person who was like, yeah, I'm quitting, see you later. And then like 3 weeks later, be like, hey, I'm back. Like, how you doing? It's just, it's not a good way, in my opinion, to kind of, I don't know, just like treat everyone. And I know that radio silence has probably not been the best thing either. And I do apologize for that. But it's just a strange thing right now. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I thought I owed it to you guys to actually make a video and talk about it and just give you a heads up as to see what's happening. You know, YouTube's changed a lot. There's lots of features there that I've never really used before, like the premiere thing from my previous video. I wanted to see how that goes. If people enjoy that, do let me know. Like, do they like the idea of seeing when a video is going to come out and then can watch it live with me, or do people just prefer like it just being uploaded randomly? So do let me know about that one. I'm going to actually try and do some more posts on like the community bit as well. So that will be quite good to see, just to kind of interact with you a bit more. There's always loads of things I can post about. Even now, like going back through my old cards, like it's crazy how some cards have shot up in value and I just forgot about them. So it's cool just to be able to show things like that and show you guys. But I would say that I'm probably going to be streaming more on Twitch, so if you do fancy watching me over there, the link's down in the description below. I'll probably post on the community bit as well when I'm going to be streaming beforehand, so you have a heads up. But if you could follow it, that'd be great. If you did want to watch it, it just makes it a bit easier. Hopefully I can get onto the road to being affiliated. I probably won't, you know, it'll be over the next few months I'll be looking into it. This isn't by any stretch of the imagination a quick thing. This is going to take time. So, but you know, if you've stuck around for this long, I don't think a couple of months is going to really change much for you, is it? So, but yeah, I just do want to say thank you again for everyone who's stuck with me and followed and stayed there. It is actually a really humbling thing, and nice to see that people still care. So you guys are the best. Hopefully, I can, you know, start doing some fun things for you. I feel like it's almost certain that I'm going to do a box opening of the new Toon set. I think that's probably a given. An updated Toon deck profile, probably a given as well. When they'll be up, I don't know. I have a lot of, well, the Toon's not so much, but there are a few cards I still need to get because I don't have any of the staples anymore. Like, I don't have anything like that. So I'll need to talk to a certain Mike from the Brotherhood, who, by the way, now has a shop, which is a very cool thing, down in South Bermondsey. So that's really cool. So maybe I could start doing more content with that, because that shop is kick-ass when everything opens up again. Who knows? We'll just have to see. But there are some potentials. There's a lot that could be done. It's just finding the time and just making sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, to make sure that I actually enjoy it again. Because if I don't enjoy it again, you'll know straight away. And then that'll probably be it. That I don't know if I'd return after that, if I did burn myself out because I'm not enjoying it, because I feel like I'm forcing myself. So I think the best route for me now is to do any content when I feel like it, and I hope you understand that, and just to make it as organic as possible instead of forced, and not put that kind of worry and restriction on myself, or requirement on myself, to do X amount of videos a week, and then, as I said, ultimately burn myself out. But the game seems different now, and it seems nice. So we'll just have to see.